Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Greg Olmo with Key Performance Ideas, and I would like to welcome you to our webinar, Profitability and Cost Management in the Cloud, Providing Reporting and Analytics of Business Performance. Today's webinar will be presented by Cullen Caballero. Cullen is an Oracle Hyperion certified consultant with extensive experience implementing the full life cycle of EPM solutions from design, product management, implementation, administration, analysis, and reporting development. His experience also spans across several industries with companies of all sizes. Recognized for his analytic skills, he delivers complex solutions to clients in support of their strategic goals. Cullen, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate it. So what we're going to do today, everyone, thank you for joining. We are going to talk about a tool called PCMCS, which Oracle provides in the cloud. We're going to talk more specifically about why PCMCS, what are the industry benefits, what are the industry issues and questions. We're going to talk about the product PCMCS in detail, as well as talk about a client study, which is going to include the challenge and the solution, of course, the benefits that come out of it. So all too often inside of profitability and cost management systems themselves, if there even is a system, most of the time, our understanding should be that it is fast, that is intuitive, and that it's automatic. However, that could not be further from the truth in most cases. The industry itself is always looking for ways to grab an advantage across just within the company itself, finding ways for executives to understand costs that are being allocated, understanding margin as far as gross profit margin or comparative analysis if you have comparative data, profit by segment, as well as allowing to do this over and over as a repeated process. So inside of profitability management itself as an industry, there are not really processes that need to be put in place that are not customized to the situation within that company. So there normally are custom-built allocation tools out there. There's black box calculation solutions. This basically snowballs into a fundamental problem that is really moved forward by turnover, or also folks that are just really hanging on to a process for a long time. And as that's passed forward, more and more band-aids are put in place, one-off solutions that fewer and fewer people understand, much less be able to replicate. So the worst problem of them all is that we spend no time at all understanding not just the process, but actually the results that come out of profitability. And as you have that exercise, we really need some answers to some very basic problems. So why does a system like PCMCS come about into the market, especially as it's hitting a brand new segment of the market of Oracle focusing on profitability? The very simple reason is it not just solves basic problems, but allows you to report and communicate those basic problems as far as what you have on the other side of that, which is a solution. So it provides not just the administration or not just the executives with a bird's eye view into it, but it also goes into the very nitty-gritty detail from a business user perspective and allows them to turn over a process quickly and also allow themselves to be challenged for getting new ways of finding that hidden profit and hidden cost so that we can actually understand the data better. Ways of business profitability that is kind of normal. These are probably things that you probably understand before. Customer product profitability, management allocations that need to be run, shared service allocations that need to be understood, refined, communicated, and service costing and chargebacks that happen from department to department. You have cost transparency initiatives across an entire company or maybe just a business segment. And of course, your legal entity allocations that sometimes come into question across different parts of the business. So key benefits. Why do we care? We need to gain insight into these hidden profit and costs, not just within any operational data, but we also need to get down to the product, the customers, the sales channel, any other custom fields you may have, for example, in a data warehouse where you're taking financial data, you're matching it up to operational data. You want to do some analytics past just the limitations of your financial system that you have. We want to enable the business users to take ownership of this process. So enablement across the company is important. So teams tend to thrive whenever they're challenged and also given space to do that. A system like PCMCS allows us flexibility. It allows us the ease of design and build, and you can really innovate within the product very easily. Key infrastructure is sometimes a barrier, not always, but more times than less. We want to be self-reliant. What that allows you to do is not have over-reliance on IT. The point-and-click model building takes the tech out of it, but also allows us to use the tech capabilities that we really need to without having a very rigid interface. We want to quickly optimize the allocation process with what-if analysis. So just push the business forward, push our bounds forward. We want to create a culture of accountability. So what this allows us to do is have full transparency. And when we talk about transparency, we want to make sure that we not just display the high-level view of what an allocation may be, but we want to be able to walk step by step by step down through an allocation, multi-tier view of how we got to the results that we've gotten to, and also the results that we're going to be passing on that will impact maybe salary or maybe department, whatever it may be. And of course, all of this is to reduce the manual effort through the automated data collection. These are things that have to happen in order for us to be efficient within profitability. The allocation engine, to talk about automation to kind of go off of it, the automation engine is open. So you have leveraging all the EPM infrastructure that's already in place, the cloud solutions offered on-prem, hybrid point of view on it, and it's all open. So you have your source data is open. We can grab any data, any driver from any system using ODI, FDM-EE, all the other cloud-based tools. EPM Automate is involved, REST API is involved in all of this, and we'll get into that in a second. The enterprise quality that we really want whenever you make an investment into your profitability exercises is beyond just grabbing more data more efficiently. We actually do see a lot of complex requirements once we start moving forward. So once we move out of the simplistic manual Excel process of grabbing a lot of these margins and ratios and getting to our analytics, what we want to be able to do is push the bounds in the more complex variables. So what that looks like is maybe we have material charged to products, facilities expenses to occupants. These are just examples, but direct cost centers conditionally allocated to customer and products. The conditionally part of that one is actually very interesting. As you can imagine, we can take a variable that is created within the tool itself, dynamically change that driver or value or target, and we can take the results of it and walk step by step by step down the waterfall allocation or the multi-tier allocation based on any other variable that we may want. So how do we do that? We have eliminated the black box, which is very good on the part of understanding exactly what's going on. It's scalable. So if you're looking for a solution inside of your profitability and cost management ideas, the vision of that is that it can't just be in a small segment of your company sitting at someone's desk or maybe 2 or 3 people in a small group of folks. We want it to be scalable. So what that means is that we extend out into other dimensions, we extend out to other systems, we extend out to other departments with no problem down to the bottom, all the way to the top. On the security side of the house, we can leverage all of exactly the identity management. We can take care of all the roles and access rights that you're normally used to within EPM. It's all in the same platform, and it's all used very simply against every artifact as well as all the roles. So the model builder, the concept of building a model is that typically we have folks moving from an Excel-based model with maybe 20, 30, 40 tabs, which is very unmanageable. What we do is that we transpose that into a workable model. To do that, we use the exact parameters that you may need on your source data. We use all of your governance drivers that you may need. We have an actual process within the tool that allows you to walk through each one of those roles in order to gain that data from those different users. We want it to be accessible so that they can take ownership. So it's accessible, it's online, it's systematic, it's not sitting in spreadsheets and in emails. We also want it to have multiple uses. So if we have one department that views profitability from one perspective of a dynamic ratio, we may have another that has comparative data that they may want to use it differently. This tool allows you to do both within the same system, within the same model, and within the same platform. The analytics that come out of it, out of the box, is that we have dashboards and we have reports that visualize the data, not just at a point in time, but also in real time. We have data that can be refreshed as often as it is available, both from operational, maybe a warehouse, from your GL, maybe your cloud-based ERP solution, or your on-prem Oracle solution for your ERP, as well as your other EPM systems that integrate out of the box, which is a big benefit. Those are all pre-built. The profit curves that you allow to use all of your reports to be sent out, whether it be graphical, whether it be in Excel, whether it be HTML, they can all be customized, as well as ad hoc analysis, that slicing and dicing ability that we have within financials inside of SmartView. It also scales across all of your SmartView objects that you currently have in place. So loading the data can be automated as well as simple as uploading some drivers via SmartView. We've seen that to be very, very effective. The variance analysis and what if analysis, all that comes out of the box. You can run multiple scenarios, the what ifs, you can run it on actuals, you can run it on budget, you can run it on forecast, no problem. And of course, availability in the mobile space now has become very useful, as well as it's being adopted more frequently. So we want to make sure that if someone is on the go, that we have access with no problem. Integration is a huge piece of any profitability solution, simply because we have so many systems that have so many specific purposes that we want to be able to pivot or have a swivel chair to where we're going from one place to the other. However, the streamlining of that data to be consistent is extremely important. The good news with this tool is that because it's on the cloud-based platform at Oracle, you are still able to use a hybrid approach to this. You can have a cloud-only solution to this project, as well as you are able to integrate with the current systems that you have in place across EPM and actually non-EPM as well. So when we talk about the existence of other processes that use maybe ODI with REST APIs, all of those artifacts are still available. So if you have PBCS or ePBCS, or if you have VIX, or if you have OAC, all these things can be leveraged all the way from a cloud data warehouse, whatever it may be. We can integrate very easily and out of the box, which is near and dear to my heart whenever you talk about a product like PCMCS, where this is very important that you have good integrity, transparency, if we're going to be pulling this together. So on-prem versus cloud, what are the gives, what are the takes? The cloud-based software and solution comes with a whole lot of flexibility. Part of it is updates. One thing that we've seen and experienced over the years for decades now is the high price of product upgrades. What this sometimes does is it does not allow us to grandfather old processes into new. And so when that functionality comes about, we normally have a multi-month delay before we can line up a project, capitalize those costs, expense some of those costs, and as well as not doing it very, very quickly. That is not the case in the cloud solution, especially when it comes to data integration. The built-in integration themselves are self-deployed, as well as it alleviates having any separate costs that may need to come from other products. So even though it's a cloud-based solution, we have seen very consistent results and also automated out-of-the-box solutions that Oracle has done a very good job of having full parity between all those processes. You can still maintain a lot of your on-prem needs from a desktop perspective, as well as on a tool server or something like that you may need. However, we've seen very good adoption in the cloud space and a really good value proposition for sure against the on-premise tools that sometimes can be a little slow, clunky, and costly, which none of those are good. So affordable and easy to maintain. You have no hardware required. The licensing is per user per month. The cost for upgrades is zero because they come in automatically, first to a test environment, then to a production environment after you've done your full testing. It's really nice. It gives you a lot of time in between to adjust, as well as to really test out and use the enabled capability of how these products move forward. Then the maintenance fees there's no extra cost there. And of course, talked about quite often is the deployment time. So whether that be consulting or whether that be new initiatives, getting a project actually deployed from decision support is sometimes costly. So Kavo Kerr. So Kavo Kerr was a good success story that we went through, which is always a good time to take on a new product and a new project into an existing EPM climate. So we took Kavo Kerr's vision, we took their issues that they were having, the challenges that we'll talk about here in a sec, and we wanted to provide them with a solution that met every one of those challenges, as well as understand what their core of their business was. So Kavo Kerr they are a company that is just a small dental segment of Danaher Corporation. And when I mean small, it means in perspective of Danaher themselves. They wanted to use this on one of its operating units so that it could take the complexities of that profitability section of that company, and then we would scale it over time to multiple parts of the company, especially on the cloud offering around their profitability and allocation process. So they've been around for a long time. So they've been doing equipment from dental procedures to understanding how the customer comes in and is actually receiving the services themselves. They merged with Danaher under their umbrella in 2017. They've had a lot of acquisitions that came up. They have a whole lot of really, really quick close requirements, which was a bit of a challenge to get all of this in the one spot based on their history. So it was really nice to have the tool to help us out there for sure. They have a large organizational structure all over the world, global company. Let's see, I think they had 27, 28 different currencies that we had to translate. They had a very skilled team, which was really nice because that skilled team came from a willingness to learn. And so they really pushed that forward. And when we walked in, they were really desperate for a better, faster way to use their profitability skill within their company. And so that eagerness to learn, the eagerness to use the tool for what it's intended for is a real plus. And so if your team is having this situation when you're looking to move things forward for ease of design and also challenge the status quo, this is a very good case scenario for your team. So one of the challenges is that we came into an already existing vision. So they already had HFM. They had integrated it through their general ledger directly. We had a data warehouse involved. We had manual spreadsheets involved. We had to unwind quite a bit of years and years of understanding about how one person's process or two or three other folks' processes worked. So they needed a financial and consolidation reporting solution that took a very complicated spreadsheet exercise, very manual spreadsheet exercise, and they needed some root cause analysis. They needed a systematic solution. They needed to be fast. They needed to preserve, protect, and actually just improve on exactly what that long-term vision is because they were a fast-moving business unit. So what they actually needed when it gets to the allocations themselves, they needed to calculate the adjustments of that data within the warehouse itself, both on percentages, on amounts, and the month-over-month changes. So there's a lot of movement within the data, not just from the source data, but also the drivers themselves. Sometimes we had to use a philosophy inside of the tool that basically eliminated an entire day of someone's job in order to reallocate that driver in order to produce it. So that was one situation where they had rules that applied in one place, but then they had a lot of exceptions as well. They had a vertical gross profit percent of sales, as well as to adjustments to the adjustments was kind of interesting. It's kind of that other. From there, they wanted to integrate with the other technologies that basically replicated other business rules. They just had a lot of extra things, duplicate work, things like that we were able to help for them. So in order to meet those objectives, they need to spend less time on sourcing that data, the spreadsheets, and the coding, and they selected Oracle PCMCS. So this solution provided an ability to use something called trace analysis. They use these trace parameters reporting to get down to exactly where we started, down to what finally allocated, and get that detail out well. So we defined these portable and flexible rule sets that were reused month to month. We used those to allocate the sales and cost of those sales values from the GL down to the country and product. And then from there, we designated by specific country and specific product. So there's actually 3 or 4 and sometimes 5 different iterations of the exact same business rule that was put into a variable and then changed dynamically. So the solution itself was really nice. It's always nice to come out with a product solution that not only helps people find better answers, but they actually get to use the data and make business decisions on it. So we converted all the invoice currencies over to USD and easily exposed a year-to-date view based on the OLAP technology within the back end. And also we assigned the business unit cost of each of the HFM entities based on those multiple business lines, the calc methods. So there were 3 or 4 different methods that we were able to trim tens of them down to a very small amount that allows us to reuse that from a month-to-month basis. So they did have dynamically changing allocation percentages that needed to be created on the fly. We took care of that. And also they need to systematically calculate driver data that performs the layered adjustments to operational business units, as well as get to that finalized vertical margin that we spoke about earlier. So the central hub that it also created was that we had 3 or 4 different teams involved, one being the warehouse, one being the accountants and finance folks themselves. Also, finance and budgeting was involved because we were dealing with forecasting data for the whole year, not just for the period, as well as you had your financial team over in HFM. And we need to reconcile those differences in a small software solution that allowed us to have a really high impact on the value of what was actually happening in the data. So we also leveraged EPM Automate as part of this solution. The administrators are the ones that we allowed to use this. So this was just the basic EPM Automate task that you're all probably very familiar with. They automated the data management piece of it. They used the backups and the migration pieces. They use the copy, the clear, the run, the load, if you're familiar with the product. So if you're not using EPM Automate to move these repeatable manual tasks into an automated fashion, I would highly consider it, as well as using a lot of what's going on in the REST APIs that are exposed there. So if you are not challenging your current process to that, I would encourage you to. We saw a high benefit in the data integration components of this. It was a large concern up front that we allowed the product to do what it does best. It uses the out-of-the-box integrations to actually upload data, both source data, the drivers that needed to come out of the warehouse. We could use other systems if we needed them, but we also had a very complex Excel file solution that we needed to unwind. The good news about this, having a mature team on site really helped. There was a situation where we had a component of the solution where those components were very immature, and it turned out that we were able to automate all of it and eliminate quite a bit of hours of that person's time in order to produce the same results that we could. So the good news about where we are right now in the project itself is that we have quite a few steps ahead of us in order that we can continue to challenge and grow. So as new products are becoming available in the cloud and full parity is becoming easy and more manageable, like OAC, like ePBCS, and other cloud services that are coming, what we're seeing is that we have a lot of growth, both in efficiency as well as transparency going forward. So the key benefits of the project itself were that we really were able to control costs and the revenue drivers within those requirements that we had. So they needed to calculate data on the multiple levels that they could not do before. Every tab was a different company, and every tab had a company and department component, and they had product by country and natural country versus what the actual local currency country was. There was a lot of things to unwind. We also gave them a view into the additional accounts and allocation rules for sales and local cost, as well as vertical margin. Once we exposed the different layers of those allocation rules, it allowed them to ask new questions that they could never ask before. So identifying those new drivers, it expanded the new business rules, allowed those questions to be answered very easily. We also enhanced the current on-prem solutions, which was actually really nice when it comes to those teams. So we gained efficiencies by the principle by which we were able to use in this cloud solution. That affected the HFM team, the on-prem FDM-EE solution that happened, and of course the backend ODI. So using some cross-training as well as some transparency within the support itself, we allow the expertise of our project to then filter and be evangelized to other pieces of the overall solution, maintaining the core vision and then expanding that vision further, which is actually a benefit of the overall initiative of what we went with Kavo Kerr. So after that, we wanted to measure those improvements, wanted to measure those efficiencies. We do all that through reporting. The data speaks for itself. It all starts and ends with the data. So if you were looking for an easy solution to design, you want an easy solution to build, as well as easy to maintain without losing the ability to easily innovate and challenge those methodologies that you have today, PCMCS and the clients that we do this for has been a great benefit. So I hope you enjoyed the webinar. We hope that you have questions. I certainly did the first time I saw this product. We're very excited to see what those questions are. So thank you for those questions ahead of time. And Greg's going to send us out from here. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Cullen. And thank you all for joining us today for our webinar, Profitability and Cost Management in the Cloud, providing reporting and analytics of business performance. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us. Cullen and my contact information are displayed on your screen. Thank you again, and have a great day.